Hi everyone, this is Becky from My Creative Life. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a layout in my large 9 by 12 Dilutions journal, and I'm going to be using quite a bit of this collection here by Kaisercraft. I have there the 6 by 6 paper pad and some ephemera pieces, and I also pulled in that really awesome fringe stencil that I shared on my most recent haul here on my channel. I'm going to flip here to a clean page, and I'm not going to add any gesso to these pages. I will go directly in with my Distress Oxide ink here, my blending brush, together with that fringe stencil. So you can see I'm just lightly adding in this ink to the background. When I started this layout, I did not have a plan, so I'm just going really subtle right now. In case I don't like it, I don't have to do a lot of work to cover it up and disguise it, but I end up just loving how this background turned out. This fringe stencil, I think, will be one of my favorites. So I'm gonna go ahead, continue adding in what I believe here might be antique linen. I will go ahead and add the exact color I used in the description box. Then I will pull in my Kitsch Flamingo, which I have been dying to use. I finally got it open here, and adding in this little pop of pink on this page, it just worked really well with all of the colors in this collection, and especially that antique linen color ink pad that I used before. So I'm really loving how this background turned out, and I absolutely love how it looked at the end of this process. You can see that stencil work popping through as a really nice detail in the background. So now I'm going to grab some pattern paper, and I do not use all the ones that I choose here. I will narrow it down a tiny bit now and go ahead and tear some strips from those pattern papers. I'm also pulling out some of the ephemera pieces that I think will work on this layout. I'm just pulling out the colors that I think will work, and also the icons. Definitely want to use those butterflies. So you can see there is some blue there, and at first I did not bring in any blue with my papers here. I'm just actually tearing them into strips right now and pulling it towards me so that way I have that white edge. And here I'm just adding it to the center of my layout, but you'll see the design will eventually change. Next up, I'm gonna grab one of my Vicky Boutin stencil along with some textured paste, some modeling paste, light modeling paste, and go ahead and add a bit of that to my background. So here I'm just adding the stenciling to the background in a diagonal line across, and to the top you can see there's a little bit of blue on there. I think my stencil might have been dirty from the last time I used it, so I got a little hint of maybe some ink there on that was left over on the stencil, but that's totally fine. I do not mind at all. So now I decided to pull in some of the blue, and I pulled out the fringe stencil once again, and that way I can add just a little touch of blue to the background, which will be mostly hidden once everything is down on this page, but in the end you can see it peeking out just a tiny bit, which is just enough. So I'm going to use, I believe this is chipped sapphire, along with my stencil, add that to the background, and now I am adding in my die cuts. I will go ahead, cut these apart. That way I can add a cluster to the bottom right corner and the top left corner. I'm also going to ink the edges of all of these medallion type icons here before adding them to my page, and you'll see I'm inking them really messy. I'm not being careful at all. I'm going to adhere all of these pieces to my background using my matte gel medium, which is the best choice, seeing that I have some textured paste on the background and some ink on the background. That will definitely keep these all stuck down. They're not going to go anywhere. I'm also going to add a layer of that textured paste, that matte gel medium, to the top as well, and that seals in all of these pieces. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on my focal point, which would be this unicycle. And I had the crazy idea of adding all of the butterflies riding the unicycle. So I'm going to add that to my background right now with some matte gel medium. Then I will line up all of my butterflies on top of the unicycle. So there you can see I used my heat gun and made sure my background and all of that matte gel medium was nice and dry because I want to add some stamping now. So I'm going to use the same ink pads I used on my background through the stencil. And I am using this messy circle stamp from, I believe this is from Dina Wakley, and just stamping it all around my background, and I leave all of the stamping in so you can see just how much stamping I did. I did not mean to add so many circles, but I just don't know when to stop. I love this stamp. I have been using it a lot lately, and once I started adding it here, you can see it just look really awesome. It's really subtle in the background because that color isn't very bold, and I think it added a really nice detail. So I'm just going to go ahead, continue adding in these circles using the antique linen, and then I'll also pull in the Kitsch Flamingo once again, which had a really nice pop of pink, And I do not add quite as much circles using the Kitsch Flamingo, but I do add in quite a bit. Now to pull in some blue, I'm also going to grab the Chip Sapphire Distress Oxide ink pad once again and add just a tiny bit of those circles using that ink pad as well. So I really love inking the edges of my layouts, and here I decided to use the black soot distress ink, and you can see it's a little bit too dark for this layout with the colors on this layout. So I'm gonna go ahead right now, cover this up using some white gesso, and then I'll grab 2 brown ink pads instead. I'm gonna go in first with the vintage photo, which is a distress ink, and then I'll go on the edge and darken up the edge a little bit more using the walnut stain. So once I'm finished inking the edges here, I absolutely love how this looks a lot better. It's not as harsh as the black soot would have been. I am gonna go in with that same ink pad and what's left on that dauber, and I'll go ahead and just swipe it across my butterflies and my background. Now once I do that to the background, all of those stenciled circles, the one that I did with the Vicky Boots and stencil and the texture paste, you will see those pop up and become a little bit more visible, having that brown ink pad on it, and it definitely looks a lot better in the background, and you can see that detail a lot more now, which I absolutely love. So now I'm gonna grab some Tim Holtz chipboard word phrases and add those to the right page, and it says follow your heart, live in the moment, and the third one says take the scenic route. So I'm gonna ink those, that way they're gonna blend into my background a little bit better than if they were just a stark white. I'm also gonna remove some of the backing because these are thick chipboard pieces and I do not want to bulk up my journal at all if I don't have to. So I'm gonna remove the back and add those to the background using some matte gel medium. Now right here, I am trying to darken up around the edge of where my chipboard pieces would be. So I'm using the back part of it, laying it on the background and just going ahead and working my way around each of those pieces to darken them up. I did not want to use the actual word phrase and do it afterwards because then I would get a little bit too much of that ink on those word phrases. And here I'm just going to go ahead and stick them down using my matte gel medium. So now I am just going to take a look at my layout and add a few details here and there to finish this off, I decided to add 2 of those semicircles to the bottom part of my layout and 1 to the left side. I also felt like my border right now, my inked edge, is just a little bit separated from my background. So I am tying both of those in using this stamp, the same stamp I used before, but this time I'm using some white ink, which is very, very subtle. It's more visible in person. And I'm also going to pull in some of the Kitsch Flamingo once again. And you can see I'm going off the edge, but making sure to catch the edge and my layout as well as and my background as well, just to tie it all together. So right now I'm a little bit out of focus, but I will get in the frame very soon. I am using my pink Posca pen, which goes really nicely with Kitsch Flamingo. And I'm gonna lightly line the edge of my layout. And I wish I had gone a little bit wider with that paint pen, but that's totally fine. It's really, really nice detail on the edge there. And I also went ahead and used my black Posca paint pen, and I'll go ahead and add 2 doodly borders all the way around my layout as well. And right now I'm just using that pink paint pen to add a few little dots all the way around my layout here, just to pull in a little bit more pink. I'm really, really loving the pink on this background today. I also used my Posca paint pen, the black one, and drew some really, really messy lines around my butterflies, around the unicycle, as well as those strips that I tore before, the paper strips, and that just helped them pop a little bit more. And I really, really love how this turned out. So here is a close-up look at the completed layout. I will have some still shots as well coming up, and I hope you guys enjoyed the process today. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget, check out my channel, and if you like what you see today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Also, that way you'll know once I upload new videos. So I want to thank you all for watching today, and until next time, bye.